Hello, everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whiskey, Single Cast Nation News Edition. It looks like I frightened you, Jason. Got you excited.
Just continuing the theme of allergies, and so if I can get my eyes to stay open, I'm on a winner. But if I have to look like a weirdo doing it, another day, another story. So here we are.
Well, I'm joined as always and forever with Jason Neal, Patrick Harris, Johnston Yellen, and we have once again joining us the lovely Jessica Rabbit Guillermo Lomas. How are you, Jessica Rabbit Guillermo Lomas?
I'm good. I am raring to go, despite my face also not displaying the enthusiasm I actually possess. It's just this is my pre-Isla game face. I don't want to use it all up. So I'm moderating my excitement. Otherwise, I'd just be like a small child running around.
No allergies for you? Are you allergy free?
Nah, Touchwood's pretty allergy free.
Wow, well done. That's amazing.
Thanks for being the guy that carries that for us.
Having mentioned it on previous podcasts and previously sounding congested, I have had people, as I'm out and about in the world, listeners of the podcast, giving me their response to allergies. And it's all drug related. There's not a single, herbal infusion here. It's all like, oh yeah, I take the best drugs early and often. Yeah, it's like, okay, thank you for telling me that. I also am trying to take some of the best drugs early and often. So whenever I ever meet someone who is allergy free, it's a big thing in my life.
Wow. I feel flattered and honored.
Just looking at your clear eyes.
My sleep-filled eyes, clear. They're not that clear.
I almost feel bad for our listeners because they are not seeing things. They're only hearing things. So for our listeners who also like to look at YouTube every now and again, we're actually putting our news episodes up on YouTube. So we have our interviews, right? Every other Wednesday we post an interview, and every opposing Wednesday we have our SCN news, and then we have our industry news. So today is our SCN news. So you can head on over to YouTube and you can actually look at our faces. You can look at Jason's horrible allergy-ridden eyes. You can look at Jess. Jess is stuck in a warehouse. What warehouse are you in, Jess?
This is the famous peat bunker, which belongs to St. Kilian's in Germany.
All right.
So it's a nice place to be stuck, and was the source of much humor for Tim and I on our recent road trip to Germany, which I'm sure we can get to.
Yes. Well, let's maybe we'll have a chance to get to that, but we only have what? We're doing a tight 35. Are we still trying to stick to that tight 35? All right. Well,
we only ever achieve a tight 35.
Only ever. Well, we've got a tight 35, and we have 8 different whiskeys to talk about. We've got 6 whiskeys for what Jason and I like to refer to as our export markets, and what Jess likes to refer to as her markets.
And then in brackets, everything that's not America, close bracket.
But Jess, ladies first. Why don't we start talking about your whiskeys?
Oh, thanks. Well, that's a good way of leading the witness. Where should we start with these delicious whiskies? Which I'm assuming you are ready, trigger finger at the ready, to make these appear on the screen for people who are watching this.
Yes.
And for people who are listening to this, it's you're just going to have to imagine nice bottles until we can laser them into your ears, and that sort of flashes up in your eyes. Where would you like to start with them? Should we maybe start with some Speysider things?
Oh, yeah, I like Speysider things, yeah. Okay,
so we can start with some Speysider things. So there are 3 Speydy things. Oh, this is not starting out well for me. There are 3 Speysider things in our latest release. What should we start with? Should we maybe start with the oldest of the Speysider things?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, age before beauty, right?
Okay.
Isn't that what they say?
Well, something like that, I think. So I think we should kick off with our BenRiach 16-year-old, which, oh, look at that. It's got a flashy banner on it and everything. So that's had a little 3.5 years in our PX Bodega Barrique, which is a conversation I've been having with a lot of people recently about what does that mean. And so we have kind of just got to the conclusion where we said, you know, these days people, when we talk about sherry casks, we're throwing loads of information at you instead of just saying sherry. So if we can sort of enhance that information, and I think between the three of us, we decided that a Bodega Barrique meant that it was a cask that had been used actually from within sherry production, as opposed to sometimes we use sherry seasoned casks.
Yeah.
So, and that's the way we're denoting the difference there. That usually opens up to some potential abuse about how sherry seasoned casks are not as good as bodega ones. That's an argument we could probably have a whole series of podcasts on. I say that they are horses for courses. They do different things. But this one, the Bodega Barrique, I think if you get to see it, it looks pretty dark and jammy. But I think that's a bit misleading in this such. It's a little bit drier. I think people are expecting it to be a real big, juicy sherry bomb, and it's not. It's a little bit drier in going in that, but it's quite a tasty number. I took it with me up to Speysider and have taken some nice pictures of it under the cherry blossoms outside the distillery. So that looks pretty cool.
Those are fantastic photos.
Thanks. It would have been hell for you. A lot of pollen, a lot of allergies.
Thank you
Not
for
great
thinking.
pictures. So I took one for the team.
Jason first.
He was sneezing just looking at those pictures, Jess.
Yeah. Just holding
Swear
it
to
further
God I
away from
was.
his face.
Swear to all that's holy, that is a true story.
So that's a shame for you. But yeah, then we can move into our second Speysider number. We've got a little Glenallachie 12-year-old, which has had a little brief stint in an Oloroso, as Tim and I started calling, Oloroso hogshead. 12 years old. It's juicy. I think it's kind of a full strength Glenallachie, but it's maybe a little bit softer, a little bit sweeter than some of the Glenallachie 12s that I've experienced from the distillery directly. And we left it fairly true to itself. It's sort of high 50s ABV. So
59 on the banner there.
Which is
For people who are listening.
For the people who are listening, who are usually me shouting at the stop saying the things that I can't see.
You're over here discussing color. I'm loving it.
Yeah, I know. And then our final stop in Speysider is just up the road from Glenallachie, and that's with our little Tormore.
Oh, wow. All right.
Or as I've been calling it, Tormore.
Tormore. Or Tor. One doesn't simply walk into Tormore.
Well, they don't, because you can't. So that's...
There's no visitor center.
We've got no business being there.
Can we return to the Glenallachie really quick, Jess? I loved the selecting the Glenallachie between us because, like, I love that Billy Walker took over the distillery and he's been putting the liquid into sherry and he's been putting it into heavy sherry and he's been doing some really cool things with it. What I liked about this one, though, is the refill sherry, in our case, is sort of let the spirit shine a bit more. Yeah. And sometimes sherry can be a bit heavy-handed, and in this, the spirit shines a bit.
Yeah, I've described this as it's got a really nice balance to it, and we came up with a whole bunch of like nice tasting notes. So this one, sometimes a tasting note will strike you out of nowhere, and it's really difficult to shift past that. And this in my head, and I could not get away from it for ages, was there's a really nice bakery on Mull called the Island Bakery, and they make some delicious lemon shortbreads called Lemon Melts, and it's a little round biscuit. And then on the top, they've got like a kind of white lemony chocolate that's the biscuit's been dipped in. It's delicious. And I think I can't explain why, but I think that does exist in this whiskey. So perhaps we should be reaching out for some sort of sponsorship. Or really, they can just send me biscuits, and I'll continue to talk about them in a favorable way.
All the free biscuits, please.
Yeah,
when I poured this in Germany in a little kind of show that we did outside of Hamburg, I was talking to a lady who was a sommelier about this biscuits, and I said, she bought a bottle of it and she said, I really, really enjoyed it. I said, well, I'm going to have to show you these biscuits because I need you to know the flavor that I get from this and why we've got it on the outside of the bottle. And she said, okay, show me them. And then I Googled it on my phone, and she said to me, these are my favorite biscuits. And I was like, whoa, this whiskey has found its way to you. That's a very happy coincidence. So there you go. People in the Hamburg.
That's awesome.
Biscuits from Mull.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was quite pleasing. Where did we get to?
Globe-trotting biscuits from Mull.
Yeah.
Yeah. tell you, I could have been doing heavy money promoting Scottish-made bakery items in Germany. In fact, next time I'm just going to have a little side stand. I'll talk to you about whiskey, and then I'll get you to come over to my stand and we'll talk biscuits instead. I could have really cashed in. Third and final was the Tormore. So that's our... it's been in new charred oak. I don't agree with your banner.
Well, the new charred oak is kind of the shortcut for the heavy toast medium char, so the HTMC. But
okay, we needed a longer banner.
Oak kind of gets there a bit faster.
It does. And actually, internally, heavy toast medium char, we've been referring to that as hello from the Magic Tavern. Good. Let's add more things to confuse me when I am talking 100%. To people in countries where English is not their first language. So the Tormore, I would have to say, actually, in the tastings that I've poured this, has been a runaway winner. We were really doing good business with it when we were at the Independent Bottlers Festival back in March. And we sold loads of it. And that was the one that I felt personally a bit threatened by, because at the other end of the hall was Ollie doing a great job with actual Tormore table. And I felt a bit like, oof, this is tough. We can almost eyeball this guy down the other end of the room. And here we are selling his own whiskey back at him. But one of us clearly did a great job of it, because we sold shed loads of it. And the roadshow that I did in Germany, that was the 2 drams that we took on the road, was the Tormore and another one that I'll get to in a minute. And people are absolutely lapping it up. So I think that stands really good stead for the future of Tormore being available with independent bottlers, and to try the new fantastic Tormore range that I haven't had a chance to get my hands on yet. Well, Ollie, that's
the thing that we had said when our Tormore came over to the US for e-commerce was we were very careful, and so we're careful in selecting everything, but especially careful in selecting Tormore when we would be putting it in front of good friend Ollie Chilton, Ollie and Polly in the last episode of One Nation Under Whiskey.
Yeah,
Ollie. And so the fact that Ollie even tasted your global markets Tormore at the Independent Bottlers Festival and enjoyed it was the icing on the cake of what we already thought was a cracking selection. So nice to see all that going full circle.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed trying it too. We've talked a lot with people that have drunk it about how I think the spirit of the whiskey from Tormore stands up really well to this what could be quite an aggressive cask. So we've got heavy toasting on there, new charred oak, that it could be quite an overpowering cask, but I don't think it has. I think the two work together really nice. So you've still got loads of fruitiness in it, but at the same time, it's not grab your throat out, too hot, weird, and spicy. Which I always say we would never pick a cask like that. I know everybody is allowed to have their own opinions about whether or not they like a whiskey, and that's great. I'm not arguing with that. But I would like to think that anything we've put in a bottle and gone through the process of putting out to a market, it sort of fits in keeping with our theme. So I think it's a nice little harmony there between that new cask, new oak, and the spirit. It's very tasty.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I guess we could move into, we could go to the other whiskey that I was pouring in Germany, which along with the Tormore, we were pouring our little Lochranza 9-year-old from the Isle of Arran. And that's had its full maturation in first fill sherry hogshead. Funnily enough, when I went to look at this after we had picked it, I couldn't find any more detail on this other than sherry hogshead. Which, given that some of our other releases that we've mentioned, or other bottles in this release, we've really gone to town with explaining the detail as to what they are. To just have first fill sherry hogshead is a bit mysterious, but I like the air of mystery.
This is one of the things that I've said in a few tastings when we're showing the bottles. We'll have on our label, first fill American oak Oloroso hogshead. Sometimes when we see on the spreadsheet, we have every little bit of information available to us. And then sometimes it's as sparse as that. And so when we have the information, we share every little bit. And when we don't, we share what we have. And that's it. We're as transparent as we can be. So that's as transparent as we can be.
Yeah, that's why we've been telling everybody, that if I can tell you the details, then I definitely will. And if I haven't, then it's because we don't know them, or we can't
make shit up. You want to start making shit up?
I just feel like That's enough to remember already. Let's not make up mad combinations that's going to catch me out later on. Somebody will write this down and call me up and be like, "You said it was in." Ooh, no, I was making it up.
Yeah.
So we
Truth is the
just
easiest thing to
entertain
remember.
that. Yeah, let's not entertain that. This is my little baby of the release, I think. I've been quite facetious when people ask me about how we pick casks. I told one group of Germans that we do a thumb war over who gets to pick the cask, and I think they took me seriously. I had to then explain that there is actually, I mean, surprisingly, we do actually kind of use some sort of logic to this. You know, we discuss markets and outturn numbers and really boring
Now you're
stuff.
giving away all the secrets. We use logic.
Getting to shin kicking is way more fun. And then sometimes I say that occasionally when we pour something in a glass, there'll be something that I really, really badly want, and I'm willing to actually fight you guys for. So this Arran was one of those that I was instantly like, nah, this is staying with me. Mainly for my extremely personal and selfish reason that I need easy access to buy a lot of this, which has backfired because it's pretty much sold out everywhere. So I was good intentions. So yeah, 9 years old from Lochranza Distillery. This is just a really lovely little monster to drink. It's got loads of lovely complexity that you wouldn't expect for a 9-year-old whiskey. It's like mature way beyond its age in terms of what I think it has in developed in texture and also in the all-important flavor too. Like it's a really yummy little number. So this is really cool to pour. It's been going an absolute riot. People love it.
Yep. Agree with every word.
And Jess, you fooled us with this one when we were in Edinburgh together.
Oh yes,
big time. You poured us blindly on this one.
Yeah, and I poured it with my eyes shut.
And missed the glass entirely. No, you poured us this, gave it to us blindly. You had blindfold on. No, and didn't tell us what it was. And had you told me it was some Macallan from the 70s, I would have believed you.
Yeah.
It was remarkable.
But just what you said live in the moment without knowing it had any connection to SCN.
At all. It was just remarkable. And the fact that we said, yes, you could take this for your markets, I kick myself for saying so. Holy crap.
I like to think this one demonstrates how much we value Jess and how much we value Jess's markets. I wouldn't want to suggest she stole this out from under us. That would be wildly unfair.
No, it's that I won the shin kicking round. That's what we just want to tell the Germans.
Never take on a Yorkshire woman at shin kicking.
Yeah, so it ends only badly for all of you. So I'm delighted with this. I know you're not supposed to have favorites. I've just really enjoyed bringing it to people. I have such a soft spot for anything from Arran. That includes Lochranza and Lag. It's really exciting to me to be able to pour it. It also allows me to remind people that this is sort of secretly my distillery anyway, because the Arran distillery and I, or Lochranza and I, share a birthday. It is the best 6th birthday present my parents never bought me. So they didn't buy me a pony, and they also didn't buy me a distillery. It's a really hard life. Wah. So yeah, big anniversary for these guys this year as well, because it's their 30th. So super cool to be able to have some. Maybe I'll see if I can squirrel away a tiny little bit of it, and I'll take it to Arran for their birthday.
There you go.
If they want to try that. To the representatives of the Isle of Arran distillery who may be listening to this, please don't hold me to that. If I've consumed it before, then I'm not really very sorry. Yes. So that's 1 to 4. So our final 2 of this release, we've got a little bit of peated things happening here. So we've got a Ruadh Mhor 11-year-old. So that is, of course, the peated expression from Glenturret Distillery. And here we've gone kind of, again, the heavy char. So that's a number 4. And this is really delicious. I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Ruadh Mhor. It's not something I would naturally reach for, I think, because a lot of the time indie bottlers are putting it into red wine casks, which I famously have issues with anyway. So to me, it's never really hit the spot. I don't think that means it's a bad whiskey. I'm not saying that in the slightest. I'm just saying it's not the perfect thing for my palate. So again, when we were picking samples, this was a real surprise to me to have in the glass in my notes. When I went back and looked at them when we were working a bit further with the ones we'd picked, show how kind of surprised and pleased I was. We were calling this bacon barbecue jam. Like it's got a really lovely smoky jamminess to it and a bit of kind of meaty texture. It's not overly smoky on the nose. The smoke really hits you when you put it on your tongue, when it's in your palate, and then your nose goes back. So find it. I've had real fun pouring this, especially to people who are a bit kind of peat skeptic.
Always,
I've had lots of people who are like, "Oh, I don't like peat," and I've said, "Well, okay, let's stop and look at peat for a second, because a bit like sherry has a whole bunch of different features. Peat also does too. So this is a Highland peat. Most people who tell me they don't like smoky whiskey have clearly had some sort of Islay-based incident.
Exactly, yeah.
And they don't want to drink that any longer. So, yeah, this has been really fun, even just getting people to nose it in the bottle or in a glass. I've had a few people who've come back and said, you know, actually, I think that's quite nice. I probably would take it. So that's good. For me, I'm really pleased. And it's really exciting for me to find a RØDE Mhor that I want to drink in good quantities responsibly.
That's excellent. And I know that for our RØDE Mhor over here in the US in retail, I've been talking to people about the end of peated spirit from the Glenturret distillery, you know, announced earlier this year. And so every RØDE Mhor you see is now part of diminishing stocks, which we've always been partial to RØDE Mhor. I've liked that Highland smoke that it has going on, a nice kind of bothy warmth to it. And so to now talk to people about the rarity, now ears are pricking, right? It's the old Mark Watt. You know, how do you get your distillery to be the best in the world? Close it down. And so, like, no more RØDE Mhor spirit coming. Oh, what was that about RØDE Mhor? I love it. I buy it all the time. Thank you very much.
Silly, isn't it?
That's so funny.
Part of that announcement for us.
It's funny. I made the connection with RØDE Mhor mostly with Jess, right? Because I often didn't find RØDE Mhors that I connected with in a Caroni rum sort of way, where I didn't connect with most Caroni or Caroni, however you want to pronounce it, rums, but the ones that I did were absolutely out of sight, right? Which was this cask of RØDE Mhor for me, for us. And now I'm connecting with it in the Caroni rum distillery way, in which you're talking about RØDE Mhor, Jason, in that it's no longer being made, right? So it's in both ways, from a flavor standpoint and from a you can't get this anymore standpoint. Very interesting.
I've been having a lot of fun with it, and it's been really fun to put them side by side with our final release, or final bottle in this release, because this is, of course, the absolute typical style of everything peaty. Here we've gone for Williamson, so that's from a famous Southern Islay distillery. And this is everything you want a 10-year-old from that distillery to be. 10 years old, in a fairly straightforward, just a recharred hogshead. So the cask isn't really making a lot of noise here, unlike in some of the other bottles in the release. And it's, just delicious, young Islay, juicy, slightly salty. It's got a really weird fruitiness. This stuck out for me when we were picking the casks, because it's got like an almost kind of black curranty note to it, which is really odd and not what I would expect from the Williamson house of style. It's maybe what I would expect from a Bowmore, like that kind of much more berry fruitness. I think we've got black currants soaked in jalapeno brine is the note on the side of this bottle.
It just sounds amazing, and we're the
really
ones that
thirsty.
bought that. Like, shit, I want to drink that.
I've been telling everyone this is the 10-year-old cask strength version of a product that you've probably not seen in the right form for a while. So this has been hugely popular, especially in Germany. As you can imagine, it went down really well. We had lots of people ordering it, even though it wasn't necessarily something I was pouring on the tour that we just did. It's done really well. I'm really happy with it. It's a really juicy bottle. Maybe I'll have to remember to put one in my suitcase to take back to Islay.
Man, all these promises. Arran, Islay, gosh.
Yeah,
we have room for both.
Thank goodness people don't listen to this. They're definitely not going to hold me to this. Like, I can hear Michael Nolan's furiously writing notes on everything I say. Hi, Michael.
For me on this one, to see a recharred cask involved, you know, the old dechar, rechar are amongst some of my favorites. And dechar, rechar has quietly become STR in a slightly different form. but you're seeing fewer and fewer DCHAR rechars out there, and I remain a fan of them. So to have access to this Southern Isla distillery in DCHAR rechar, I thought was exciting, and then to have a note like black currants and jalapeno brine. Oh my gosh, tremendous!
It's actually making my mouth water thinking about it.
Right.
You're drinking this right now.
Yeah.
For those 6 bottlings, Jess, do you want to remind people which countries they can find them in?
So these 6 are available across a handful of places. So they are, obviously, we have our UK retailers, including people who will ship to other destinations, should that be a question that you like to fill my inbox with. So they're in places like the Whiskey World, the Whiskey Exchange, they're in the Whiskey Shop, and Good Spirits, if you're local enough to wander into shops here in Glasgow. We also then, so that's UK taken care of. There are also open bottles in the Bon Accord, the Artisan and Wishaw.
Beauty.
So that's, yeah, if you want to go and drink open things too. And I think Thomas has a few bottles still for sale in the Bon Accord. And he also has, I can tell Josh has not been past recently, he has what I think may be the last bottle of Tormore on a shelf.
Well, Thomas, if you're listening, I'll be there in June. Please hide that bottle. I'll be there June 18th. So see you then.
And to the rest of the listeners who may have faster access, they're in the Bon Accord shop as you walk in on the right hand side. So that's I'll just put that there. We also have lots of bottles available through our friends BenRiach in Germany, who I have just done a roadshow with Tim of JG Thompson, our sister company, and also with some lovely German SMWS ambassadors. We just did a little roadshow, working our way north, ending up in Kiel in Mark Björn's shop. Mark Björn, who is, of course, one of the BenRiach partners. That was lovely. So to anybody who's listening to this, I had a lot of fun with all of you. Thanks for coming and entertaining Tim and I, slowly losing our minds over the space of a week and reinventing phrases like oloroso casks. And actually, to those of you who are watching this on YouTube, the picture behind me is the peat bunkers at St. Killian's warehousing. It's a very cool, very strange, very cool setup. It's on a format, so the maturation takes place in these bunkers like this behind me, on a site that was it was a NATO munitions, but so everything is in bunkers all round in these trees. And after we'd been to the first one, Andreas said to us, do you want to see the peat bunker? And Tim and I couldn't stop laughing for about an hour. We thought that was very funny. So voila, I'm in the peat bunker. So yeah, we had a ton of fun in Germany. That was really good. So thank you to everybody who came out and supported us. Where else have we got some bottles? There are some bottles that are somewhere between here and Japan, following my market visit earlier in the year. So that's with the Three Rivers guys. They'll be in a lovely selection of stores that I visited and some ones I didn't get to. There's a good chunk of bottles that will be heading out to Canada through work that Joshua and I have done with our friends PWS Imports. And then we've got a lovely little sample. Why am I saying sample? A lovely little order going out to our partners in Israel. So there's loads of space to find our bottles. There's a few more bits and pieces we're working on for later in the year. That's where the majority of everything is. So
indeed, yeah, more countries coming.
And also my house where all of the Arran reside. Maybe.
That was a decent outturn on the Lochranza as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, we got, I think, more than I was thinking. I think we got just over 300 bottles.
I thought we went into threes. Yeah, that's a good number. And almost sold out, on the verge of sold out globally.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone in the UK. I think the Whiskey Shop may have some stock left, but I think everybody else and the Whiskey Exchange have got a tiny bit left. But I think pretty much everyone else has got it. Could be that the retailers are drip feeding it though. So keep going back and hassling your local retailer, wherever that is, and asking them. Ask for priority boarding lists or whatever. Yeah, so that's its release. It's pretty much gone. I think it's more or less left all of our warehouse, so that's nice to see it making its way around the world.
Well, both thanks to you for your hard work getting those out globally. Indeed, Joshua and you on the Canadian side of things, and sincere thanks as always, and since 2019 to all of our global partners who have supported us incredibly well, and the growing numbers of Single Cask Nation fans in those countries, thanks to your market visits, Jessica Rabbit, Guillermo Lomas. So wind in your sails, and lang may your lum reek.
I can give you a little
Blessings
sneak
upon thee.
If you want a sneak preview of other places you'll find me, later in the year, you'll find me back in Germany in October, where there's a strong planning happening currently for us to do another little run of nice places to visit, people to go see, bottles to be poured. So keep your eyes peeled for that kind of news hitting social media and places.
All right. Well, let's bring the focus in from global to the United States.
Yeah,
Joshua.
there we go. All right. Well, we are launching 2 new bottlings tomorrow. So today is Wednesday, May 21st. And on Thursday, May 22nd at noon Eastern, we're launching 2 bottlings. The first that I'm talking about is right here. And let me get a banner as well. Look at this. So that is our 12-year-old Blacksboat Bridge, 62.9% alcohol. Jason, you want to talk about that one?
Oh, deliciousness. It's a wood shop. It's a chocolate making factory. It's rich. It's unctuous. It's incredibly quaffable. And if you're a fan of this family-owned distillery that uses direct fired stills, this Blacksboat Bridge is as good a single cask as you'll see from this distillery. Our tasting notes are also sitting on YouTube. Go check those out. And delicious. Enjoy it.
Let me read the tasting notes on the side of this bottle because I really like this. It says, an attention grabber that represents the very best of this classic distillery.
Oh, there you go.
Smells like a wood shop, just to your point, right? Tastes like a spiced fruit cake and finishes like an Italian dessert.
Oh, the tiramisu on it is,
right?
Yeah, out of control.
Yeah, but and this was to your point on the tasting video, which like you said, people should check it out. In the springtime, there's a brightness to it that we didn't notice upon first tasting, but there's an unexpected brightness to it that I think really sits well tasting it in the glass. So I'm really excited for this. 12 years old. And again, 12 years old, $120 a bottle.
Yeah, great price.
And it's going to be launching with our 13-year-old Glencadam, which will only be $125 a bottle, 60.2% alcohol. And when we release these 2 bottles together, you can get them as a bundle. We're going to be calling that bundle May Showers. And if you get it as a bundle, it ends up being like...
Are we calling it that?
May Showers. No, May Flowers.
Remember your transition?
April Flowers, May Showers. Thank you, Jason. I tripped myself up on words, Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted people to make sure they look for May Showers as the bundle that will put money back in their pocket.
No, May Flowers, Jason. Who are you, me? But this Glencadam. So this one, to my mind, is a 1 in a million cask. Glencadam. What's that?
That's a big number.
It is a big number. I mean, Glencadam, for those that know Glencadam, big malty presence to the spirit. Glencadam is typically a blending malt, but when you try their own bottlings, just nice, big, rich spirit, really difficult to beat. Often overlooked. Unfortunately, often overlooked. This one spent 10 years of its life in an ex-bourbon barrel, but the final 3 years of its life in a first fill STR sherry seasoned BenRiach. And what's interesting about this and why I call it a 1 in a million cask is for some reason, and a reason that we can't explain, we're getting flavors and scents that we typically only find in 80s Bowmore or some 80s bottlings of Auchentoshan or Glengarry, that lavender notes, the pixie sticks and Fun Dip, and penny candies that you'd find, and it's just gorgeous notes like that.
Yeah, I would suggest it puts the flowers in the Mayflowers bundle.
There you go, Jess.
Oh, that's nicely done.
See that?
That's good.
Thank you. 14 years doing this. Thank you both. Thank you for being here. Cracking bundle.
Yeah, and along with that bundle, there will actually be 3 other bundles going along. So check those out. They'll be accompanied with some of our other bottlings that are on our website as well.
Yeah, and we've been saying limited quantities on these bundles.
Indeed, yeah,
they're not
quantities.
Infinite offers.
No, indeed, they limited quantities, and once they're sold out, they will be sold out. So
don't dilly dally.
Yep. Jump on the chance while you have the chance. So there you go.
Brilliant. 8 crackers, 8 casks that we're all very proud of, very much invested in.
Yeah, beauty. As always, we thank our listeners, and as of recently, we thank our viewers as well. We'd like to say, if you're digging us on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll see the little subscribe button below, and there's a bell. You just sort of tickle the bell. I think you do this to it. Is that what you do, guys? Do I have that right?
I preferred when I was just hearing the audio of that description. The video of that is not what I signed up for.
No. No, like when you see someone chewing with their mouth open.
But if you tap that little bell, you'll be alerted to when a new video launches. So anyway, subscribe to us. Check us out. We will be doing more of these videos. And of course, Jason and I will always be releasing tasting videos of our online releases. Hopefully, we'll be adding tasting videos of our retail releases as well. If you've got questions, you can send us questions, info@singlecastnation.com. If you enjoy the podcast, which we hope you do, A, please tell a friend. B, please tell more friends. And C, please go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts and give us a 5-star review, leave comments, whatever it is. And if we see them, we'll read them on the podcast. And I guess until next time, we should say cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Hi, everybody.
Future. It's bright.
To the future.